That's right, my daring desperados of the disco dabbling internet. We are here to talk about some drama, this time involving somebody that's very controversial and someone that's extremely controversial. We got June Lapine, or ShoeOnHead, and Hasan Piker, who goes by his name online, so I didn't really need to research much to figure out their actual names. So, let's talk about what is causing this beef. So, a few days back, ShoeOnHead released a video about Pragmata, and Pragmata is a game where a bunch of gamer losers want to become dads because they're getting this deep primal urge to become fathers. And, ShoeOnHead said, yeah, it's a very reasonable thing to see in the game. You have this primal urge to maybe want to become a father or take care of a younger person. And Hasan Piker says something mean about gamers, and he was used as a clip. Let's talk about the clip first.
What's really interesting about this is all of these unfuckable losers in the gaming sphere always talk about like starting families and stuff. And I don't understand like why this has become a thing that they care about. Like, if you're a gamer, you should care about things that you actually experience. You should care about things you actually enjoy, right? If you're a lonely gamer who has never been around a woman and will never have sex with a woman, why do you care? Like, why do you care about having children or like riding for having children? Like, it's just not something that you're gonna experience ever for your life, for the rest of your life, right? This is something that I never understand.
So basically, that's the clip that ignited this whole beef online and talking about how Hasan doesn't like gamers. And I think if you're a gamer, by the way, I want to give my stance on this so we can continue. I think it's okay to have a male protector fantasy. I think that there's a lot of people that really want to be fathers or prove themselves that they're better than other men or want to prove that they have the ability to take care of something, because a lot of men have this protector idea where they're dying in war, having this ability to be on the battlefield and prove themselves, and dying and giving to their princess and caring because they want to feel worth something. They want to feel like they have a purpose. A lot of men have this fantasy or wanting to feel like they matter in some ways, and they want to do it in this big bravado way. And some people just want to protect a child, a daughter, a son. They just want to feel like they want to protect something. A lot of guys have that fantasy. That's just a lot of guys I know in personal conversations, which is different, by the way, because if you see two guys and they're talking one-on-one and a girl enters, whole conversation shifts. If it's just two guys talking one-on-one, you can get a real conversation about what they actually believe and how they feel, because men are more comfortable around other men because they're secretly, you know what they are, homosexual, and I hope they are, at least. A little gay hopefully. But enough of me projecting, let's get on the beef real fast. So a bunch of people kept talking to Hasan and saying, hey, ShoeOnHead made a video about you, ShoeOnHead made a video about you. So he decided to reply to, not the video, by the way. I don't think Hasan actually watches videos for the most part. It's not really in his bag. He's not really a big video watcher, at least from the 15 streams that I've seen in full totality. In their recent streams, by the way, he's not very good at watching the entire video without getting distracted. He has a big issue with that. But what he did was state about his opinions of ShoeOnHead, which are, oh my god, I can only describe them as slightly internalized misogyny, very misogynistic at the end of the day, to be quite real with you. I understand that he doesn't like her, I get it, but it's interesting to say the least.
As an emo girl, 4chan guys who are now 38 years old want to fap to me.
Wait, 4chan guys want to fap to me? Wait, I thought it was super cool and progressive to have like an army of men who simp for you online. That's not very woke of you, Hasan.
First of all, I like how you used the word fap.
That's so old, isn't it? It's like gooning now.
Yes, it's gooning. Come on, get with the times. It should have been left in 2016, Hasan. Come on. If this was said by anyone else, he would be calling it misogynistic and sexist, but it's being said by someone with the hive mind approved opinion, so it's okay. It's called dark woke, chud. We decided to become more hypocritical and annoying. You wouldn't get it. If I was getting paid for men to fap to me like many of his friends and ex-girlfriend porn star do for a living, that would be fine, he would support it. But since I don't do that and I'm just like a normal YouTuber, it's a way to insult and degrade me. It is interesting though how Hasan uses unfuckable as an insult to hurl towards men and fuckable as an insult to hurl towards women. I think it was Bell Hooks that once argued that patriarchy harms men by reducing their worth to status and conquest, while women are harmed by being reduced to only their desirability and being conquered. You should not be getting feminism mogged by someone who does not call themselves a feminist, Hasan. Not a good look, buddy.
So I don't agree with Hasan's take about how ShoeOnHead is emo and men fap to her. She can't control that. Just want to point that out. She cannot control what men do. I do think that she does cater to men in a lot of ways when she says a lot of things, and that classifies her as a pick-me to a lot of people because she states that she is on men's side and understands how men operate, and that gets a lot of people who don't feel like they have a lot of support from women to be on ShoeOnHead's side, that's just how she is. She's so in the middle, right? She's so in the middle. She can't take a full stance on anything. A bunch of full half measures as a person. And that's why if you really listen to a full clip that she says, you can pretty much pick holes in the entire argument because she doesn't take a full pivot stance on anything. I'm not saying it's bad to have, in the middle takes. I don't think that's bad at all. I think being in the middle is pretty good. People pick and choose what they want all the time. Basically, you can choose politics basically how you're choosing frozen yogurt at an ice cream shop. You can believe that you can have free healthcare and secure borders. You can have both. I like my guns. I'm a huge gun advocate. I love having my guns because I don't trust the government at all. It's pretty fun. But I also think we should have gun regulation at the same time, and that makes people very angry at me because it's either all or nothing for a lot of people. Very extremist mindsets throughout the entire spectrum there. But Hasan was being very, I think, anti-sex work in that, and then that allowed ShoeOnHead to also be anti-sex work in a way and sense to, and also like dog on sex work, because ShoeOnHead is not very sex work positive. But she also stated a very good point by stating that Hasan does do that reductionist take because he gets so angry that he forgets his own politics or his own morals, which makes him very easily clippable, which makes it a net negative in a lot of things that he does. If you can get Hasan pissed, you can pretty much win any argument you get against this guy. As long as you can get him pissed, you kind of win 100% of the time. If you ask anybody outside his echo chamber and just ask a regular person about how he is. Anyways, let's get to more of this argument. So ShoeOnHead made a big comprehensive 35-minute video reacting to Hasan's reaction of her. It's a lot of reactception going on here. That's what we usually get when we get into a lot of these beefs and dramas. People reacting to other people. Now, upon listening to ShoeOnHead, I can deduce and ascertain that she is basically if Asmongold was a woman. That's pretty much where I'm at with ShoeOnHead. I think that she has a few reasonable takes, and she's like a broken clock. She's going to be right twice a day, 100% of the time. But if you fully listen to any of her arguments, you end up discovering that they have so many holes in them, it's absolutely disrespectful to even to consider them real takes. It's strange to say. I don't hate her in any capacity. I think she just listens to... She does a lot of words that sound smart, but when you really think about it, it's shown that she is not really understanding what she's saying because she's not doing enough research to understand what she's saying. I'll give you an example.
By the way, this guy is never going to be the Joe Rogan of the left because, like, Joe Rogan, at least Joe Rogan from years ago, I don't know about now, was all about listening to other people's beliefs and hearing other people's opinions. Hasan does not do that. Hasan closes his ears and goes, la la la, I can't hear you, you're stupid, I'm smart. For years, we had to listen to how this guy is gonna push young men away from the GOP. They are leaving the GOP, but they're not going to the Democrats, and I don't know if they're going to the left either. But anyway, my video was not political. In fact, the only part that, like, was political was the part where I agree with Hasan about the genocide in Gaza.
If you're a gamer, you should care about things that you actually experience.
Very weird coming from a guy who understandably wants everybody to care about a genocide that is happening across the ocean.
My point there was, you can't be telling young men to only care about things that directly affect them and then make it your life mission to tell those same young men to care about things that don't directly affect them.
So this is cherry picking, like very deep cherry picking. Hasan does it and she does it. So both are doing it very interestingly. In a lot of ways they argue, in a lot of ways they go. In Hasan's case, he's lacking a basis of consistency in ShoeOnHead's mind. So in ShoeOnHead's mind, we have this basis of no consistency when it comes to the arguments. She stated that in her clip, and also she doesn't do a lot of research because she said, well, Joe Rogan, at least back in the day, I don't know about now, that means you should figure out if he does that now because he doesn't do that now. Joe Rogan is horrible, and people saw that Joe Rogan was being horrible, and that's why a lot of people said Joe Rogan is dangerous because he platforms too many dangerous people. Platforming that many dangerous people just to listen to them is going to be a net negative, and he is getting too easily convinced because he's listening to them too much, and he got very sucked into the right-wing pipeline, and now he's hanging out with the president and having a good time there. So that's the whole thing there. It's weird to see these two people argue because we're dealing with an enlightened centrist and somebody so far left that he's up his own ass. It's really strange to watch. Also, I'm more on the take of ShoeOnHead being more moderate right, because she'll say something like, did she just randomly stay at this in the middle of the video talking about billionaires and stuff of that variety? So here goes the fun part. When you're kind of a moderate right, when you're enlightened centrist, you don't fully say a statement because it could upset somebody. You lightly allude to the statement in order to make sure that everybody agrees with it, such as this.
What the fucking LARP is that? Yeah, stealing is so cool, dude. Let's just steal from big corporations so those big corporations move out of that community, and then that community turns into a crime-ridden, unsafe shithole ghost town and a food desert. Like, yeah, bro, you're really fighting the man. Listen, you can tell people that billionaires are the real enemy until you are blue in the face, and it might be true, but Jeff Bezos isn't the one stabbing them on a train, you know? You can't have a peaceful, functioning, socialist, or even social democratic society with the delusional social policies of Hasan Piker.
I do think a lot of Hasan Piker's statements are good in nature, but her using the Aruda Zarutsky stabbing on the train in combination with saying that billionaires might be bad. Oh, who knows the billionaires are bad? Who has any idea? It's not a full measure. So she's not taking a full stance on anything. Billionaires are evil. Billionaires are disgustingly evil. But she's saying that if billionaires leave the economy, we won't have Walmart. Then we won't have any food. We can have local businesses, local places. We can fund small businesses. There's a lot of ways to get around this if you actually go fully into an ideology, or at least fully look at the points of an ideology instead of saying middle point and listening to half-based arguments that don't really fully grasp the entire picture. You do have to take from both sides, but that is to get a full opinion on a certain ideology, not to stay in the middle forever. That's a horrible mindset to have. And this is basically the entirety of how ShoeOnHead's mindset operates. And Hasan Piker is so far, I'm saying he's so far left that he ends up becoming an overall net negative for himself, because he gets so mad because he's tired of dealing with not being woke enough or not dealing a lot of stuff, because he has to check and balance himself all the time. And I watched his full reaction. He is having to check and balance himself every time he makes a statement, such as this.
Said I should show some intellectual backbone. Then you said I should. Then you also told me to be a man. Now I'm mostly just confused. I'm just talking about people who fucking complain or are like, man, you attack the gamers. You know, just be a fucking adult. Here, is that better? Is that more politically appropriate for me to say? Be a fucking adult. That's what I mean. You know, have some confidence in yourself. Sorry, I'm using gendered language. Too woke to live, too electoral to tanky. Yeah, that's why. You gotta fucking look like a chud and think like a woke, okay? That's why I do this.
And I think the bigger issue is, if you listen to Hasan Piker's whole statements, they're actually really good at the end of the day, without the cussing and the swearing and without the anger. If you take away the anger from Hasan Piker, you might actually get a really good ideological threshold into how people should operate and how people should move. But because he's so reactionary, that's how he got his base. If he just stopped the anger, he would be so much better. I think this is right here a very, very good take that he had right here. Right? I think it's a very good take.
Anita Sarkeesian attacked gamers for 10 years. Look where we're at now. Yeah, people still chirp about Anita Sarkeesian, bro. People still talk about how she was like a primary vector of hatred, a primary villain in their lives. I'll be honest, dude, if you genuinely still think about Anita Sarkeesian to this degree, like, you're not long for this world. I'm actually genuinely confused how you haven't fucking yourself so far. Like, what a pathetic mode of existence. If I lived like that, if one person that I ordained as a villain in my own mind had this much control over my life, this much control, and was a figure worthy of this much animus, I would fucking realize at some point that my life is not worthy of living. It's just so sad. I'm just going to end it all.
So the overall message was really cool, besides the ending yourself part, but the overall message to me was very good. He has very good takes and points and things of that variety, but he has this very deep-seated rage inside of him that makes him very easy to rage bait, which is not healthy for a lot of topics of discussion or debate. But he has that anger that a lot of people on the left really need and want, because it feels like you're gonna get something done because of the rage that exists inside of his body. And then ShoeOnHead does like the basically opposite, where she just weaponizes her calmness over and over again. Then he dogs on her for being a centrist overall, because she says he doesn't have a consistent worldview. And this is getting into the point where Hasan was getting dogged on for not having a consistent worldview in the ShoeOnHead video in this clip right here.
Are consistent. None of these motherfuckers have a genuine worldview. At least with Nick Fuentes, he does have one. It's repulsive, it's toxic, it's disgusting, but at least I can like associate him with a movement, with an ideology. But people like ShoeOnHead are basically a humanoid version of a fucking Reddit aggregator. They just spit out shit that they see on subreddits. So why the fuck are you going there? You might as well just go to the subreddit directly and read all the commentary that they turn into video essays.
Almost a really good point for Hasan Piker. Almost a really good point in my opinion. But this is just my own personal take. Maybe you agree with that. Maybe you think that people should stick to one ideology so you can associate them to see if they're a safe person, so it helps you out and figure out how they are and operate. But I think most people are a mix of a bunch of different ideologies. Nobody is ever truly just one ideology. We wouldn't have gay Republicans if that was the case. Everybody is a mixed bag of a bunch of different stuff that they've learned throughout the confines of years. You can't just easily group people, despite how simple it makes to turn people into symbols for their entire ideological movement. And because people are political figureheads or big figureheads online, we want to have this ideology that they are just big political figureheads. So that's the entirety of the beef. They're just arguing about that pragmatist statement. That's the entire thing that's going on there. And then ShoeOnHead reacted to it in her video and pointed out how Hasan wasn't being woke and things of that variety. So if you're just concerned about the beef and not my opinion on everything, you can click out the video right here. Have a lovely day or night wherever you're at. I'm going to give my opinion now. That's going to be the fun part of this whole video for me. So here goes my big problem with the entire beef overall, especially whenever I see any beef with Hasan Piker, because I have so much to say about Hasan Piker that it gets a little bit muggled. And I gotta say this immediately. People can become so obsessed with being morally correct that they forget human beings are emotional creatures first and logical creatures second. We make every decision, whether it's your favorite olive or favorite kind of pizza or favorite ice cream. Doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's about caring about something that's not in your personal state and caring about the genocide and going on in Gaza right now, all that stuff is emotional first. And then we use logic to back our emotional backing. That's how we do. The internet has completely accelerated this problem into a screaming competition where whoever sounds the angriest gets treated like the most righteous person in the room. Let's take veganism, right? The actual core message makes complete sense to me. Factory farming is horrible. It's horrifying. Animals suffer horribly. The environmental impact is insane. Reducing meat consumption, it probably is objectively better for the planet overall. Like, if we can think about it that way, it is. The second someone opens with, "You're evil if you eat meat," the human brain immediately enters defensive mode and stops listening entirely. You don't get somebody to convince somebody that way. Nobody wants to be morally cornered during lunch while holding a burger and subtly being told they're participating in industrial cruelty, like they're some comic book villain while chewing through the rainforest. You can be right and still completely fail at convincing people. That's understandable. Delivery matters more than internet philosophers want to admit. That's more important than anything. It depends on how calm you are, because you have to do that. Because most people, and this is most people I know, do not learn or change at all through humiliation. They change through discomfort mixed with curiosity. That is why my friend accidentally became vegan after I skinned a chicken from my grandpa's farm years ago. The process looked disgusting and deeply visceral in real life. There was no debate panel, no Twitter thread, no one screaming "murderer" in all caps with 30 skull emojis attached, just reality hitting somebody directly in the face with feathers, smell, heat, skin, and the uncomfortable understanding that meat does not magically appear wrapped in plastic under Walmart lighting, blessed by capitalism itself. Sometimes one honest moment changes a person more effectively than 10,000 angry lectures ever could. Human beings are very weird like that. We absorb emotional experiences harder than ideological essays, because the essays are forgettable, but those feathers I were plucking and that were stuck to my hand, those aren't. Because we remember, this is a very important thing you learn. I learned this when I was a pro bono lawyer assistant, when I was doing paperwork at a pro bono law office. You, right, as a person, remember how things felt more than how they happened. That is more important to most people. Majority of people remember how things felt more than how they happened. The internet completely destroyed the art of persuasion because outrage performs better than any patience ever could. See, anytime I try to do nuance or something of that variety, it doesn't work because there's clips, explosions, facial expressions that, oh my goodness, wow, whoa, this is outstanding, oh my god. People do that and they say, whoa, he's making a face, I gotta click on the video, because people want to see ridiculousness. A calm person explaining their worldview thoughtfully gets like 20 views. Obviously, it's thoughtful explanation. No one's gonna do that. A furious guy pointing at a camera, oh my god, you put some funk music on it, you're gonna get 8 million likes in a second. Modern discourse is basically professional wrestling without the athleticism and with significantly worse deodorant. That is everything else. Everyone is trying to create a moment instead of a conversation. That's all they're doing. Nobody wants to talk about these things. That's what's happening here. That's why I have the biggest issue with Hasan in general. My issue isn't with his ideology or how beautiful he is and how amazing his muscles look, because objectively, he is attractive. And he thirst traps and he uses his beautiful body as a way to get people and women to listen to him, because he has a very centralized woman fan base that really love him. Some people just watch Hasan Piker because he's hot. That's it. Because he's a hot guy talking about him being emotionally mature and available, and people love that about him, so they become parasocial with that. And when you actually sit down and listen to his full positions, a lot of what he says is genuinely reasonable. Free healthcare, worker protections, anti-war positions, criticism of wealth inequality, skepticism towards giant corporations controlling society. Huge amounts of average people agree with those things, at least partially. If you remove the screaming clips and the rage compilations, if you remove the reaction bait edits and actually examine the ideology itself, there are plenty of points where normal people will go and say, okay, yeah, honestly, that makes sense. That tracks. That makes sense. The problem is that rage has become part of his brand. Once rage becomes part of your identity, every sentence that he says is going to be ridiculous, and people are going to clip it out of the way. That's why I don't think Hasan Piker himself is bad. I think that what people do with Hasan Piker's anger is bad, because we live in clip culture now. Context is practically a thing. You can make fake captions on clips over and over again. Nobody watches the full 2-hour stream anymore because everyone is consuming politics through 30-second fragments uploaded by accounts with names like destroyed compilation number 72. If you are constantly angry, constantly reactive, constantly escalating emotionally, you are basically handing your enemies free ammunition every single day. People do not even need to defeat your ideas anymore. They can simply replay your worst emotional moment forever. The internet turned human frustration into these collectible trading cards. One bad clip follows you for years while your 100 thoughtful takes evaporate instantly into the void. And the void is always hungry and it's always full. Here goes the worst part, right? I think this so much because a lot of people will tell me, well, Hasan actually has really good arguments if you actually listen. So I do. As a matter of fact, this is really important. I want to talk about this right now because I actually made videos about Hasan and ShoeOnHead back in the day. A while back, I made a video called that wasn't the first one. It was Hasan Shouldn't Be Famous. This was this one. Hasan Piker Shouldn't Be Famous. Has 68 likes, 79 dislikes, and people were tearing me apart in the comments. And then I said, see, people aren't watching the whole video, which is fair. I don't hate or dislike Hasan. I, however, think he is dangerous. This is the same stance I have right now. I said these exact words in the video. I think that people clip him out of context. That's what it is. That's what it is. How are you scared about a guy saying stop the genocide or give everyone free healthcare? I'm not, and I wasn't concerned about that. I was concerned what people were doing with that, but people didn't listen. So I had to retell the video and say the same exact thing I said before, and I got 320 likes and 104 things. People thought, oh, you finally understand, you finally listened to him. No, I already watched 20 of his full live streams, and I just understand that people clip him out of context, and he makes very good arguments when you listen to him in full context, but without the anger and hate and rage in it. If you take that away, that's the whole thing. And then I made a video about ShoeOnHead, which got a lot more reaction, and it got 2.5 thousand likes and 138 dislikes. This video was me talking about how ShoeOnHead stays right in the middle and doesn't do anything crazy. I remember I made these videos, and my stance pretty much has just improved a little bit, but it hasn't changed that much because these people are kind of cemented in my mind, especially considering I can't speak to them personally. I can only watch what they put on the internet. So that's what I'm observing and reacting to and I'm trying to figure out with people. I only can speak to their fan base and how they interpret how the people are. Also, Hasan Piker is very reactionary, and it gets worse when somebody is reactionary. Reactionary people accidentally built their entire worldview around emotional momentum. If you do not watch full clips, if you eventually immediately respond to headlines, if you instantly assume the worst interpretation of everyone you dislike, eventually your audience starts operating the same way. And that's why we have an orbiter such as Kaceytron who just kind of agree with everything Hasan said.
What's really interesting about this is all of these unfuckable losers in the gaming sphere.
If you care so much about these incels and their inability to get sex, go one. Oh wait, you won't? Because you're just grifting to them? Like, you don't even want to get with them either. But you'll condemn other women for not wanting to who you don't want to Okay.
When did I ever condemn women for not wanting to people? What is it? Hat on foot again. Hat on foot making YouTube videos from Earth 2 about how women owe men sex. What
She's
the fuck
really
is she
fantasizing.
Why is everything sex with these people too? Like, everything is sex. You talk about the human desire to create a family and have a legacy, and they're like, sorry you can't get laid, incel. Sorry you can't get pussy.
It's like the worst game of telephone of all time when people just react to the react, or more so when people don't take the full context and clip, or when people just listen and react to things. And Kaceytron is a horrible example of this entire thing. I hate the fact that she's even a part of this in any capacity. She is worse because she immediately assumes the worst interpretation all the time. That's just disgusting. It's nasty. It is spiritually contagious. Once your community becomes addicted to outrage, they stop wanting solutions entirely because anger itself is the entertainment. Politics starts looking a lot less like civil engagement and more like people betting on football teams. And that's why we have Kalshi and Polymarket, because people are literally betting on this entire thing because people are pretending democracy is a pay-per-view event, and it's so disgusting. So let's get into June Lapine, ShoeOnHead. Let's talk about her for a second. She is the exact opposite of Hasan Piker. She doesn't stream. She just kind of makes YouTube videos where she gives her takes, and then she doesn't have to interact with the audience in totality. I think interacting with the audience too much is very dangerous for your mental health and for how you view your worldview, because you get to see how the audience reacts to things and how much they agree with you, and that's why you want to make an echo chamber of people that love you. That's what it is. She is much harder to clip maliciously because her communication style is slower, more sarcastic, more layered, and often intentionally framed around ambiguity or cultural observations instead of pure explosive rage. People usually poke holes in her arguments only after watching the full context because her content relies heavily on the complete framing. That's what it is. This gives her a strange advantage, a very weird advantage in modern discourse, because she survives clip culture because no one can watch her full clips because they're too long. It's basically a superpower she has. She appears calmer. The harder it becomes for people to weaponize your tone against you, it's the tone is the weapon. The calm disarms the tone. The disarm attacker looks really foolish. See what she said? She said this. This is ridiculous. But she's like, well, yes, I did say that. That's insane. I proved this recently when I was in an argument with Gideon. I just agreed with his point. That's all I did. Just agreed with his point.
That's a little odd. I agree. You're correct. You're correct. You probably shouldn't have said you did it for money when at the end of the day, you probably were doing it for more of a noble cause at the end of the day, considering you're already a millionaire. Kind of defeating his entire point, considering you only made about $6,000 and then proceeds to donate that money plus your stream money. You know what? You're completely correct. I agree. I don't disagree. You've changed my mind. Good job. I'm not unreasonable.
Oh man.
Oh no, I'm not unreasonable. I just didn't understand. Thank you for explaining. So, I just didn't know. I really didn't grasp why. I think during the live stream, you didn't make it clear enough for me, and it felt like you were just trying to son him or little bro him. And I apologize for making that point in my video. You are 100% correct.
It's totally genuine.
I'm not bullshitting you. I don't have time to do that. We're already here. Does it seem like I'm bullshitting? It wouldn't make any sense to do that at this point. We're talking.
No, I guess I'm just used to people doubling down, I guess.
A manipulation tactic, actually. I do that a lot, especially when I'm bored with the person and realize that arguing with them or talking to them won't get anywhere. I just agree with their point just to see how they react to it because they want to argue. See, people don't want to debate anymore. They just want to argue with me. And I discovered that if I'm calm, it completely disarms it. It makes the attacker look a bit stupid. It makes me look higher from a moralistic standpoint. That's smart. That's called being smart. I refuse to continue to class ideologies with somebody who refuses to further their point or better their worldview in any capacity, because I've realized I've wasted my time, and now we're just wasting time. By the way, that went on for another 20 minutes of him just saying, wow, you're actually really reasonable and cool. That was the entirety of my beef with Gideon, where I just agree with him that he is correct, and thus disarming any of the hate and vitriol he had towards me. It's interesting, but that's what the entirety of what ShoeOnHead does, because she will be calm, and it's hard to clip that out of context. I think her worldview confuses people because internet politics has convinced everyone that your beliefs must fit neatly into one prepackaged ideological starter pack with matching stickers included. Somebody says, I want free healthcare, but I also want secure borders, and people short circuit entirely. They are addicted to political purity tests now, and I see this all the time. Like 10 years ago, I voted for Donald Trump, right? And the reason I did this was because I was like a single issue voter, and I didn't know much about politics. I didn't really know anything about the world. I genuinely didn't. I think it's idiotic and dumb to vote for Donald Trump in any year, in any election currently, because I grew over the course of 10 years. Because when I was 20, I was an idiot. I'm 30 now. That is a big time of growth, and that's how people grow. Imagine Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you only believe fictional characters can grow, just consider me Zuko at the current moment. That's how it was. I was a part of the Fire Nation, and now I realize my father's evil. That's what happened. Bada bing, bada boom. I grew up around my father, who had a lot of money, so he was primarily a little bit more Republican leaning, and he watched Fox News, so basically I was only getting Fox News stuff. That's the entirety of it. So when I tell people that, people sent me death threats because 10 years ago I did something bad. People sent me death threats for something I did 10 years ago where I was one vote. And by the way, I want to point this out. My state didn't even it was blue. My state was blue. Just want to point, my state was blue. People don't know that. My state was blue. Everyone expects human beings to function like completed Skyrim screes, where every perk belongs to one faction forever. Real people are inconsistent. Real people pick and choose ideas constantly. Most average voters are not ideology machines built in a lab somewhere under Washington, D.C. Most people are emotional patchwork blankets made from personal experiences, fears, hopes, traumas, taxes, grocery prices, and whatever their uncle yelled about during Thanksgiving dinner and you don't want to talk to your uncle anymore because it's disgusting. The blanket is ugly. The blanket is also real. The real is what votes. Extremism pushes normal people away because most people are not extremist, right? The average person wants stability, comfort, safety, affordable food, healthcare that does not bankrupt them. Most extremists online are probably children. Like, if you want to be so real with you right now, most extremists and people that say these crazy things and send death threats are kids. Or they have the mindset of a child, or they don't pay their own bills, or they don't do things, or they're struggling enough that they just want to feel powerful, so they make you feel weak in the same way. That's what it is. If you do that, that's how people are. Like, most people obviously want all these things, right? They want things that don't bankrupt them. Enough free time to maybe watch videos while eating microwave garbage at midnight after work. Screaming at people nonstop usually fails politically, even when your cause has merit. If your movement makes ordinary people feel constantly attacked, exhausted, morally inferior, or socially unsafe, they will drift away from it, even if they originally agree with parts of the message. Human beings need openings into ideas, not emotional hostage situations where disagreement gets treated like a big war crime. The hostage does not convert. The hostage just wants to go home. Persuasion for a lot of people is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to admit because it involves understanding people emotionally instead of declaring yourself morally superior from a digital mountaintop made of retweets and caffeine. That's what you want. That's people want to feel morally superior than anybody. That's why people will say, you know you were a shitty person before, right? You know you sucked before. You're okay now, but I'm going to unsubscribe because you're disgusting and I hate you. I hate what you did before, but I hope you grow and be a better person. That's a horrible thing to say to somebody. That's just evil. That happens all the time. And this whole ShoeOnHead Hasan Piker thing has revealed a lot about the internet to me over and over again, that it always does. Sometimes influence looks manipulative because technically all persuasion is manipulation to some degree. Advertising manipulates, campaign speeches manipulate, emotional storytelling manipulates, a heartfelt documentary manipulates people. That's what it is. Even kindness manipulates people towards trust and openness. The real question is whether you are manipulating towards empathy or just trying to dominate them emotionally until they submit out of exhaustion. The internet keeps choosing domination because domination is louder, faster, and easier to clip into a 10-second TikTok with dramatic music underneath. The music is so loud all the time and it hurts my ears and it's disgusting. And the message is lost. The lost message does not matter to the algorithm because the algorithm technically didn't really have ears to begin with. So if you want to know my overall TLDR about the entire Hasan Piker ShoeOnHead stance, I think Hasan Piker needs to stop reacting to, I don't know, everything, because he needs to stop listening to his audience ever so slightly, and he actually needs to fully react to things and actually has a good head on his shoulders when it comes to that. I think that he is a very good ideologue for a lot of things, but he is also easy to poke fun at and easy to clip, which makes him easier for people to dunk on. He is the right's perfect person, because the more he exists, the more the right can further their ideology. And I think he is a net good if you listen to him fully, and a net negative if we live in today's society of clip farming. I think ShoeOnHead is a bunch of full half measures as a person. That's why this is so agitating to talk about, because she's technically right about Hasan in the context of the clips that she shows. She is 100% correct in the fact that he is being very dismissive towards sex work and talking about how women are only valuable for their body, and Kaceytron talking about that as well does not further his point in any capacity. That actually defeats his point overall, especially considering the other ideologues and his mindset and how he operates as a human being. It's disgusting to have that happen, and it's horrible. It's kind of like when, the best way I can describe it is if you don't hate fat people and you hate have fat friends, but you call somebody from like ICE, say they're a fat pig, and then your fat friend says, do you think I'm a fat pig? I'm bigger than him. Like, no, not you, just him. They're fat, and fat is bad. And it's like, but I'm fat. It's accidentally attacking people when you're trying to insult somebody. It's very interesting to do. It's the same logic as that. So that's my overall thoughts about it, but I'm merely one man on the internet. Maybe you disagree entirely. Maybe this video is gonna get me a lot of hate messages because I'm criticizing Hasan Piker. Who knows? I'm more than willing to take any of the hate. Go ahead and hit me with it crazy. I'm already getting enough hate as it is. Go crazy and just destroy me. Or maybe you agree. I'm not quite sure. And considering there's only 2 sides ever on the internet on anything, well, I guess that's where we're at. Have a lovely day or night wherever you're at, and I'm out. Peace. Bye.
I'm your nigga night, be my loyalties low. Happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you